Just a moment. Good. There's a lot of uncertainty around the Charlotte-Mecklenburg School District now as the board discusses student assignment. Carolina Impact's Danielle Koser brings us up to speed on all the confusing issues related to it.
Swinging across the monkey bars and racing down the slide.
Whoa!
Ashley Hall has her hands full with 3 kids, Bennett, Bubby, and Gray.
I got you.
Across town, William Hughes and his daughter, Lila, take some time to stop and smell the herbs, checking on their garden before starting homework.
Smells good.
It smells good.
The Halls live in Myers Park, where Bennett and Bubby attend Sowen Elementary, a school marked by high performance and low socioeconomic diversity.
We have 19% economically disadvantaged students.
How many bears?
It's a different story for the Hughes, who live in West Charlotte, a community filled with high socioeconomic diversity and low-performing schools.
We found out that we were assigned to Bruns Academy, and we did not hear great things about Bruns Academy.
Now, the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Board of Education is taking a look at student assignment, trying to find a way to provide every child in the district with access to an equal education.
Those 147,000 kids are going to be our tomorrows and our futures.
But the makeup of Mecklenburg County makes that challenging. Take a look at this map showing the economic segregation of the county. The darker the shade of green, the higher number of families living in poverty. There's a direct link between low income levels and low performing schools.
We know we cannot break up every pocket of poverty, but try to diminish or minimize as many as we can.
This isn't the first time the district has been tasked with making schools more diverse, but this time it's not court-ordered. In the 1971 Swan versus Charlotte-Mecklenburg Board of Education ruling, the Supreme Court upheld busing programs designed to speed up racial integration in public schools across the nation. Now, memories of the past are creeping into the current conversation.
This whole issue is causing so much fear and anxiety and division. I implore you to heal the wounds, go on record with a vote, and say we're not doing anything silly, we're not going to disrupt the whole school assignment plan, we're not going to bus kids across town.
It is not acceptable to put children on a bus and ship them in traffic to faraway, low-performing schools. Our children only lose by forced busing. They lose time driving on buses and traffic, lose after-school activities, lose friends, lose their sense of community.
I'm beginning to see a pattern of people talking about forced busing when there was no mention of forced busing in our goals. And there is no mention of forced busing in our guiding principles, but if all people know is forced busing, that's where they go.
Hall and Hughes are united in their fight for the best for their children, but living in different parts of the community gives them different perspectives on what the best looks like, leaving parents and the board asking the million-dollar question.
Can we have both, essentially? Can we have socioeconomic diversity and high performance?
We realize the system not only impacts us, but the children around us. This is where we're going to live. We're not planning on moving, and we want our community to be great.
Last month, the board passed its guiding principles for the student assignment plan, stating every student will be assigned to a designated homeschool within proximity to where he or she lives. Homeschools are defined as schools with fixed adjoining attendance boundaries. That's good news for parents like Hall. She joined the community group CMS Parents United for Public Education, asking the board to guarantee kids will have a seat at their homeschool.
I do want socioeconomic diversity, but not at the expense of anyone's achievement.
The Hughes are involved with One MEC, a group fighting for socioeconomic diversity in schools. They want the choice to send their daughter to a higher performing school, farther from home.
We're limited by one thing, and that is our zip code. And I'm hoping that people will do what's right to actually move our kids forward so they're capable to move forward in a global economy.
The board's guiding principles also put an emphasis on magnet schools and school options like middle and early colleges to eliminate achievement gaps. McRae says the board wants to add 4,000 magnet seats with priorities for admission based on socioeconomic status. But approval of the guiding principles hasn't quieted concerns from the community, shedding light on a bigger issue.
Right now, we are not very well trusted by parts of the community.
To some degree, I think that's a very valid point and very true.
Matthews Mayor Jim Taylor says in March, the town formed a task force to examine the possibility of breaking away from Charlotte-Mecklenburg to form its own district. There are only 15 city schools across the state. The closest is about an hour up the interstate. Mooresville Graded School District opened in 1905 and never joined with Iredell-Statesville schools. As a result, it's much smaller, about 6,000 students compared to the county's 20,000.
Every family, every child in CMS deserves a high-quality education. And CMS, in a lot of our opinion, has gotten so large that they can't do that efficiently or effectively. And if the end result is splitting up or splitting away, and that will provide us with the consistency of a good quality education for our children, that's what I think we will ultimately do.
Mooresville consistently ranks one of the top in the state, and it's not a rich district. They rank 87th in the state in per student spending, averaging $7,900. Charlotte-Mecklenburg averages $8,500 per student.
It's a very good example of something that we potentially could become. We're not the wealthiest people in Mecklenburg County, but we do have the desire to do what's best for our children.
Well, it appears to me that it's just a concern that they might not get what they want, and that the parents there are, again, afraid that we're going to do something to them that would be difficult or hard for them to accept.
Meanwhile, families like the Halls and the Hughes put their trust in the district, and administrators aren't taking that lightly, knowing the decisions they make today impact the futures of thousands of students. For Carolina Impact, I'm Danielle Koser reporting.
Thanks so much, Danielle. Matthews Mayor Jim Taylor tells us that the issue of local schools has been around in Matthews for nearly 2 decades, but this is the farthest it's ever made it by the fact that there's actually a task force. Well, we're going to continue our conversation with Judy Kidd, president of the Classroom Teachers Association of North Carolina. Judy, thanks so much for your time. This is a tough conversation to have about student assignment.
Yes, it is, because folks have always seen Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools as one giant unit, but the giant unit might possibly work better if it were divided out.
You know, you've said students in this district have seen so much change. Would you say some students have moved in a K through 12 area more than 2 or 3 times?
Oh, absolutely. There are students who have seen 5 and 6 and 7 changes in the course of their educational career. And what I think the school board misses is that there needs to be some stability brought to the community, because students need to feel a sense of community with their school, and parents need to develop a sense of community so that you can develop a core group that supports that individual school.
On the surface, it seems like the desire is good, that we want to balance the playing field so that all students, whether they're in lower socioeconomic areas or higher areas, all have access to same good schools. That sounds like a worthy cause.
Right, but isn't that the responsibility of the school district to provide to all equally? And in addition to that, if there are needs in a specific school, say for instance there's a lower socioeconomic area where parents aren't able to provide the additional tutoring that is necessary, then let's let the school district go in and strategically provide the support that's needed for those children in the after-school care programs so that they get to have someone to read to and that they get the additional help necessary to get them reading on grade level.
But how do we deal with the fear and lack of trust that seems to exist around this issue?
Well, I've dealt with that the entire career, and CMS seems to be able to cultivate it as opposed to put it to bed and put it to rest, because they never seem to be able to keep their word, and they're never, although there is the preaching of transparency, transparency never makes it.
Judy Kidd, we'll be back with you one more time. Thanks so much. We appreciate your information.
Thank you.